Today is the third day of this June 2026 7-day Sesshin. And we'll continue with Not One Single Thing, a commentary on the Platform Sutra by Shodo Haridaroshi. Now, just to review what we covered yesterday, Eno, or Da Jiang Wei Neng, as he's shown in our ancestral line, he's a teacher, and he is speaking before an assembly. He's talking about his early life. And he speaks about making a delivery of firewood and hearing someone reciting the Diamond Sutra. And upon hearing the words, abiding nowhere, awakened mind arises. Hearing those words and having a Kensho experience. Now, continuing the story, Eno now wants to study this sutra, wants to learn more. And he asks the person reciting it, where did you get this from? And he tells him, the fifth patriarch at such and such a temple. And Eno wanted to go there. And fortunately for him, someone stepped up to take care of his mother so he could. It took him a month to walk to the fifth patriarch's temple. Walking can refine the mind. After so much zazen, it refreshes the body. Kinhin can let you go to the bathroom and get a drink. But those things are byproducts of Kinhin. The main point is moving meditation. Keeping this mind of stabilized awareness in motion. If the only way that we can keep with our practice is in stillness, then our practice will be limited to just whatever it is that we can do in our daily lives. Zen Master Hakuin said, meditation in the midst of activity is 1,000 times superior to meditation in stillness. That doesn't mean that we can dispense with meditation and stillness. But that stillness is supercharged by meditation in motion. So make the most of your kinhin. Yes, if you need to go to the bathroom or get a drink, do those things. But if you don't need to do those things, stay in the kinhin line and stay with your practice. You can do that even when you're out in the bathroom or getting a drink. It could be a little harder, but it can be done. So even when you're washing your hands, remember where you are. Remember what you're doing. Don't allow the mind to wander. Continue to feel the tanden while you're walking or going to the bathroom. Continue to be anchored. Radiate all your activities from this stable spot. Going back to the story, after walking for a month, Eno must have been a sight when he arrived at the 5th Patriarch's temple. And I'm using patriarch because Shodo Harada uses that. My preference is for something more gender neutral, but this is what we got. He's brought forward to the 5th. And this is what happens. The master asked, so the master is the 5th ancestor, speaking to Eno, "From where have you come? Why have you come to this monastery?" Eno answered honestly that he was from such and such a place. "I am from a farming family, and I have traveled far to be able to meet you. I ask for nothing but Buddhahood." And then Shodo Harada comments, "We all have many things that we think we want. We desire to learn. We want to travel here and there. We want to own this and do that. Life is brief. We cannot live the same time twice. We can only decide what is most important and do that." I think it can be helpful, especially before going to Sesshin, but also at times during Sesshin, to remember why we are doing this practice, why we came to Sesshin. Why are we bothering with all of this? It helps to be clear about it. Not because we're trying to make something happen, but because it gives us direction, inspiration. It's the fuel that keeps us going. Here's a story. There was a crowd in the doctor's waiting room. An elderly gentleman rose and approached the receptionist. "Madam," he courteously said, "my appointment was for 10 o'clock, and it is almost 11 now. I cannot wait any longer. Would you kindly give me an appointment for another day?" One woman in the crowd leaned over to another and said, "He must be at least 80 years old. What sort of urgent business can he have that he cannot afford to wait?" The man overheard the whispered remark. He turned to the lady, bowed, and said, "I am 87 years old, ma'am, which is precisely the reason why I cannot afford to waste a single minute of the precious time I have left." Whether we are 87 or 27 We don't know how much time we have left. Sometimes on the Han that's played prior to a block of Zazen, on that wooden block that's outside the Zendo, on some of them will be inscribed these words from Zen Master Dogen. Great is the matter of birth and death. Life slips quickly by. Time waits for no one. Wake up, wake up. Don't waste a moment. Shodo Harada says this: life has been in existence for billions of years, but the time we are given in human form is so very short. How will we make use of it? How will we give expression to it? What is its meaning? There must be something that we are certain we need to do no matter what. Not something that is contingent, like producing a great work, but beyond anything that is limited by conditions. We must become that life energy itself. While you are here in this Sesshin, where will you put your life energy? Enno said, I ask for nothing but Buddhahood. In response, the fifth said, you really talk big from some little bulldog from the boonies, don't you? And Enno gave an astonishing answer. We may look very different, you in your fine apparel and me so scruffy, but in Buddha nature, there is no difference. This bulldog from the boonies. Other translations of what was said were bumpkin, jungle rat, barbarian. Not a compliment. So he walked for a month to get there. And as soon as he arrives, he's insulted, tested, to see how he responds, to see what he's made of. Enno doesn't get angry. He doesn't take the bait. He speaks the truth. And his truth is just as true now, 1,400 years later, as it was then. Though people differ in appearance, in education, and social standing, our true nature is the same. So Enno was shuffled out of there and assigned to pound rice in the back of the monastery. Each day he had to pound, and maybe with others, enough rice to feed 700 monks. He was very busy, and he did it for 8 months. During those 8 months, he wasn't invited to sit with the monks in the Zendo. He wasn't invited to hear Teisho. I'm sure there was a ceremony or two or a dozen that were done during that time. He didn't go to any of those. He didn't go to Doksan. He pounded rice. He was given hard labor. How would you have responded? You went all that way, 600 miles, walking. Went there to train and didn't train in the way that he expected. How would you have responded to that? I've heard stories about people going to train at the center or come to Sesshin and being given, the usual Zen center work. Cleaning toilets, taking out the trash, sweeping, mopping. That's the kind of work that's here. And then balking, getting angry at being given such work that's beneath them. I'm not sure what such folks are expecting, but clearly menial labor wasn't it. And they got ticked off about it. When asked where such anger comes from, Roshi Kapleau responded, from ego, from the strong sense of I. I am being put upon. I am being insulted. I am being abused. I am being frustrated. I. The angry person is never free of the oppressive and egoistic feeling, the world is against me. He therefore lives a hellish existence in the midst of enemies, those opposing him, those antagonizing him, those taking advantage of him. Consider that the next time you're angry. Enno could have responded with anger. He could have responded with defensiveness. And maybe he would have before that trip. But at that point, he had nothing to defend. That sense of I had dissolved. And that same opportunity is available to each one of us, too. So while Enno was in the monastery all those months, pounding rice, the fifth patriarch felt he needed to find a successor. He was getting old. So he gathered the monks and announced a poetry contest. He wanted them to present a poem to him that showed their understanding, the depths of their realization. And the poem that expressed it the most clearly, that poet would become the sixth patriarch, his successor. So the monks hear this assignment and they're like, nah, no thanks. Well, the head monk, he's likely gonna get it anyway, so why bother? And we're cool with him, it's fine. The head monk, Jinshu Joza, or Shen Shui, or something like that in Chinese. It's Jinshu Joza in Japanese. So we're told he was aware of the feelings of the other monks and knew that none of them would write a poem. And this is what he thought. I don't know how we know this, but this is what he thought. But if I write a poem, it has to be an expression of my deepening, not for the status of becoming the sixth patriarch. If I do it for the name, it is no different from someone wanting to be famous in society. But then, if I write a poem, it will show the actual depth of my state of mind. This is terrible. So he sincerely wanted his poem to show his understanding, but he was also afraid that it would show a shallow understanding or no understanding at all. So he writes his poem and he tries to submit it to his boss, the fifth patriarch. He tries 13 times, but he couldn't do it. So he waited until the middle of the night and anonymously wrote his poem on a wall that was supposed to be painted the next day. It was going to be painted with scenes from the Lankavatara Sutra. He vowed that if his teacher praised the poem, he would claim it. But if his teacher didn't praise it and thought it was shallow, he planned to leave the monastery and spend the rest of his life in the mountains. So here's the poem. Our body is the Bodhi tree, and our mind a mirror bright. Carefully we wipe them hour by hour, and let no dust alight. I'll say it again. Our body is the Bodhi tree, and our mind a mirror bright. Carefully we wipe them hour by hour, and let no dust alight. So he writes this poem on the wall, and then he leaves, sneaks back off to his room. But he couldn't sleep. He tossed and turns all night, wondering how his teacher will react. This is not someone free from I. Shodo Harada comments, no matter what we achieve in our careers or how much knowledge we acquire, as long as our Buddha nature is not clarified, we will remain insecure. So let's take a look at this poem. Our body is the Bodhi tree, our mind a mirror bright. Our body, the Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree is where the Buddha attained his awakening. That's body being our place of awakening. Our mind, a mirror bright. This mirror is a common in Buddhism to describe our original nature, our true nature, reflecting everything exactly as it is. But like a mirror, being untouched by what it reflects. So if something comes before it, the mirror reflects it without adding anything. When something that's been reflected leaves, the image disappears, but the mirror doesn't lose anything. No matter how dirty or beautiful or ugly, whatever it is that comes before a mirror, the mirror reflects it without becoming itself ugly or beautiful or dirty. Mirror reflects things just as they are. The enlightenment of a Buddha, is sometimes called complete and perfect mirror wisdom. So the next lines in his poem: carefully we wipe them hour by hour, and let no dust alight. Dust. Dust is all these delusive thoughts, habits, greed, anger, fear. That cloud our ability to see clearly, to reflect cleanly. Whatever it is that we cling to, thoughts can come into the mind, and they're not a problem. We don't have any control over that. It's what we cling to that clouds the mind. In his poem, this head monk is saying we need to do zazen to get rid of all these obstructions in order to be a Buddha. We definitely, I think, most of us, unlike Enno, have to work to see more clearly. It requires effort. Zen Master Dogen said, this sustained exertion, and he doesn't mean straining, but just effort, continuous effort. He says, this sustained exertion is not something that people of the world naturally love or desire, yet it is the last refuge of all. The fifth praised the poem and said that anyone who trains in this way will eventually realize awakening, or at least they won't regress. Praise? But he could see that this poem didn't get at the heart of the matter. He could see that there was something missing. The fifth patriarch asked for an enlightenment poem. He said, you have all gathered here to realize your true nature. If you know it directly, you should be able to express it immediately as it is. What I say to people in the Doksan room who are demonstrating a koan, if you know it, you can show it. It's true in the kitchen. It's true in housekeeping. It's true driving a car. If you know it, you can show it. Same way in the Doksan room. The fifth continues. He says, when you bring me your poems, I will know how deeply you have each realized this true nature. And so because of the praise, so-called praise he thought he received, the head monk claimed his poem. But the fifth knew. He knew who wrote it. And so the two of them met about it. And when the head monk asked, did this poem show enlightenment? The fifth said, it approached the gate, but had not yet passed through it. There's something missing. And the fifth had urged him to try writing another poem. But the head monk was so shaken that by this feedback that he couldn't come up with anything. He froze. Our body is the Bodhi tree, and our mind a mirror bright. Carefully we wipe them hour by hour, and let no dust alight. What's missing here? You may be able to feel it in your bones. There's something not right. There's something not quite right. There's something true, but it's not the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. There's something missing. There is this story by a Father Theophany, Harold James Boyd. Theophany is his priest name. He wrote this story in his book, Tales of the Magic Monastery. So this Father Theophany was a Trappist monk, so I guess that's his monk name, at a Catholic monastery in Colorado. He'd often go on silent retreats for months at a time, all by himself. On one of these retreats, he'd been praying and meditating, and he'd been there for 3 months, all by himself. Suddenly, a question came to him. What am I leaving out? And this story came from that experience. Here's the story. I knew there were many interesting sights, but I didn't want any more of the little answers. I wanted the big answer, so I asked the guest master to show me the house of the Christian God. I sat myself down, quite willing to wait for the big answer. I remained silent all day, far into the night. I looked him in the eye, and that's him with a capital H. I guess he was looking me in the eye, and that's he with a capital H. Late at night, I seemed to hear a voice. What are you leaving out? I looked around. I heard it again. What are you leaving out? Was it my imagination? Soon it was all around me, whispering, roaring. What are you leaving out? What are you leaving out? Was I cracking up? I managed to get to my feet and head for the door. I guess I wanted the comfort of a human voice or a human face. Nearby was the corridor where some of the monks live. I knocked on one cell. "What do you want?" came a sleepy voice. "What am I leaving out?" "Me," he answered. I went to the next door. What do you want? What am I leaving out? Me! A third cell, a fourth cell, all the same. I thought to myself, they're all stuck on themselves. I left the building in disgust. Just then, the sun was coming up. I'd never spoken to the sun before, but I heard myself pleading, "What am I leaving out?" The sun too answered, "Me!" That finished me. I threw myself flat on the ground. Then the earth said, "Me too." What are you leaving out? We'll stop now and recite the 4 vows.